Hey there, Alex Kidman, and they say, classically, that you have to suffer for your art. That might go part of the way to explain what I'm about to do, because it's the middle of the night, it's been bucketing down with rain, and I'm sitting in my car about to go and do a bunch of low-light photography, specifically low-light photography with premium smartphones, because Oppo sent me one of its premium Find X5 Pro phones, and it's talking up a big photo game with that, specifically around its Marisilicon NPU, which is meant to give it better low-light photography and videography features. But how good are they? So I headed out. Thankfully, the rain seems to have ceased for the moment, but it's probably going to come bucketing down the moment I step outside my car, to put it to the test against a range of available competitors, specifically the Apple iPhone 13 Pro, the Google Pixel 6 Pro, and a Samsung S21 Ultra. Yes, the S22 Ultra is newer, don't at me. I just don't happen to have one of those, so I'm making do with what I've got. But it also should give me an interesting point of comparison to what was current and very good in the low light space a year ago. Anyway, I'd better get to it. Now, before I start though, a couple of simple little ground rules. I am capturing everything freehand. I'm not using a tripod. I could get slightly different, probably slightly better results with a tripod in these kind of situations, although it would probably kick the Pixel 6 Pro into its astrophotography mode, and then I'd be here all night. Also, I tend to think freehand is the way most people capture their photos on their phones these days. It's just what people do. I'm also not specifically looking for striking or artistic photos. That's not really what I'm testing. What I want to see is, what's the low light pickup like? What does the AI actually do to the finished photo? What does it actually look like? Is it pleasing? And obviously, YouTube's going to do a bit of compression on all of this stuff. I really can't do too much about that. Anyway, on with the show. So what I'm actually going to do here is rank them from worst to best. First up, a street shot. Here's the S21. It did okay. Everyone did okay in this test, really. Then the Apple equivalent of the same, a little bit garish on the colors in the post-processing. I haven't touched these photos at all, apart from letting what the phone's going to do to them. Then we have the Find X5, which actually did a pretty pleasing job, although, again, those colors in the grass, a little bit oversaturated from what real life was. And the Pixel 6, which, for my money, delivered the most pleasing version of this particular shot. Moving on to another street scene. Again, I'm not going for artistic, I'm just going for detail. The Samsung came last in this one as well, although it's still a very good shot for that particular phone. Then Apple, obviously a little bit darker. There's a bit of a taste test thing there, but they're very close to each other. And everyone, again, did fairly well. I would then rate the Pixel. It did a good job, but that sky is not quite right. And the Find, I think, actually got the most realistic looking version of this particular photo. Again, though, very, very close, very good. Now we turn to the field that I'm parked in front of. This is a shot actually I use a lot when I'm testing phone cameras, and it always reveals some interesting detail. Here I'm putting the Apple last, largely because of the overly green colour of that grass. Then the Find, which delivered a kind of darker shot. It's more realistic, but it's also a little bit noisy. The Samsung comes roaring back here with a generally pleasing, slightly neutral photo. But again, I'd be giving the award to the Pixel 6 Pro for delivering the best overall balanced shot, the shot that most people, I think, are going to like the most under the circumstances. Now we come to an interesting shot, because I should point out at the outset, I couldn't actually see the detail in these trees while I was taking this photo. It was that dark, it was that wet. And again, the iPhone really doesn't impress. It's a slightly blurry shot. But then again, the Find doesn't cover itself fully with glory because it's quite dark. And this seems to be a theme for the Find in low light. It tends to deliver dark shots if you let it frame that way. The Pixel does a reasonable job of delivering a balanced shot. But for my money, I think the S21, surprisingly, takes this one, grabbing the most detail. I will point out again, I'm letting the phones frame this themselves, partially because, honestly, I can't entirely see what they're framing against. So it's their selection choices that matter here. I mentioned it was dark and wet, right? So I was walking along the fence line in the park, and I nearly went straight into a really, really large puddle. So I decided to photograph it to see what kind of detail each phone could pick up. Here, the Find did not do a great job. with a lot of lost detail, but most phones struggled with this. The Samsung, likewise, doesn't grab a great deal of detail. The Pixel maybe edges out the Samsung, it's very close there, and whilst it's not a terribly pleasing photo, the iPhone takes this one simply for actually showing me more detail. And I'll remind you again, I couldn't actually really see all of this puddle with the naked eye. This is what the phones themselves are doing. I was feeling a bit damp and soggy at this point, so I headed back over towards the Clubhouse at the side to get a better lit shot. And here there's a slightly subjective choice in play because there was a definite split between the phones. The iPhone delivers a nicely framed shot, kind of moody and dark, and the Find does similar. It's kind of tricky to pick between them. While the Samsung picks up a lot more cloud detail, it's a little bit brighter as a shot. I would personally pick the Pixel just because it's starting to pick up stars, it's grabbing a little bit more detail, and this is meant to be about low light pickup. But they're all fairly pleasing photos in their own right. I then wanted to capture some video because Oppo makes a big deal of the night videography features of the Find X5 Pro. So I walked over to a darkened corner of the field to really give the phones a challenge. Again, I'm not going for some cinematic masterpiece here. I'm just trying to see, right, if you give this a really stiff challenge, what actually happens? So here's the Samsung, not a great video, lots of roll, lots of distortion, not great light pickup. This is just me walking about 10 meters in the dark. I was very glad it wasn't raining at the time. The Find did a fair bit better in terms of light pickup and not shaking quite so much, but again, it's really dark. This is definitely a thing for the Find in low light situations. It renders dark. The Pixel picks up a fair bit more light, as we can see here, and delivers a reasonably pleasing video under the circumstances, if one's going for that walking through the park at night horror movie kind of vibe. Still, it's not exactly a big surprise. The iPhone's my favourite of all of them. Apple's videography has just been good for years now, and they're definitely the brand to beat here, if that's what you want to do. So that's it. That's the results of my night shoot. The Find X5 Pro does shoot night pretty well. Did it win the night? I don't think it did. I would put my money behind the Pixel 6 Pro, which is generally shooting better and slightly cheaper as well, which is always a consideration. But what's your thoughts? Which photos would you have picked? Which ones do you like better? Anything that you think I got glaringly wrong? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As everyone always says at the end of a video, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, go have a cup of coffee. Maybe they don't say that last one. But thanks for watching anyway.